In life, you get to do two things. You get to pay and you get to play when you're talking about your career or your destiny, your purpose. Hey, welcome to BP Podcast today, and let me encourage you today with a story that I've got that I hope will give to you and I a little guidance for the decisions we make and the direction we take. I think about a subject, a title, I call it Pay Now, Play Later. I remember hearing it first from John Maxwell years ago. He just dropped it, and I began to listen to that and think about what he was saying, and then I began to try to apply my life to that principle, and it worked. Pay now, play later means this. In life, you get to do two things. You get to pay and you get to play when you're talking about your career or your destiny, your purpose. And if you pay on the front end, that is, you pay the price, put in the work, put in the time, put in the effort, the energy, the education, whatever you need, but pay on the front end, you'll reach a level that one day you can play on the back end as you get older and you begin to live more and have more success. Everybody gets to pay or play. Some people, though, they play on the front end. They just kind of waste those years that they could be making tracks, and then they have to pay on the back end. Everybody else is past them, and they're still trying to catch up. And that's not really the way to do it. In fact, I've learned that if you pay later, the price is greater. It always goes up. It's harder once you have children to go back to school. It's harder once you become an adult and you've got all these other responsibilities to take on some of the things you could have done when you were single. And so the pay now, play later is kind of that delayed gratification principle. You delay it so you can one day enjoy it. I tell you that because of this. I had a friend, I still have her, named Gwen Alexander. At the time I met her, her name was Gwen Brazil. She was not yet married to a wonderful guy named Tony. And Gwen was one of these bubbly personalities, a lot of life, just leads with her heart. Couldn't ask for a better lady. And one day Gwen came to me and she said, Bill, I'm in this position where I need to make a decision. And it was one of those pay now, play later decisions. She said, I want to go to school, back to college or go to college. And she said, I've not had any people around me that went to college, and I want to go. It's been a dream in my heart. And I said, well, then do it. She said, you don't understand. I'm older than most of the students there. I'm as old as the teacher almost. And she said, I'm a little insecure about that, a little afraid of that. That's kind of a leap. I don't know, should I do that or not? And I said, well, Gwen, what's stopping you? I remember she looked at me and she said, Bill, it's 4 years. She said, here's how old I am now. And if I go to college, when I get out, that's 4 years. Do you know my age will be then? And I remember looking at Gwen and said, Gwen, let me ask you a question. If you don't go to school now, if you don't go to college now, how old will you be in 4 years? She said, well, I'll be the same age. I said, so either way, you're going to be the same age in 4 years, whether you go or don't go, right? She said, well, I hadn't looked at it that way, but yes. I said, okay, you think about that, but if I were you, I would go. She later informed me I'm enrolling, and she did. What I was so thrilled about was that 2 years later, I got an announcement that Gwen was getting her associate degree. I was so proud of her. And then 2 more years later, I got another one that she was giving the announcement that she was getting her bachelor's degree. I'm thinking, whoa, she's on the track now. She achieved her goal. And then a few years later, I get another announcement that Gwen is now working on and completing her master's degree. And then a few years later, I get an announcement that Gwen is graduating with her doctorate in education. Now, I couldn't help but think when I saw that, wow. Here's that lady that when she took that leap and made that step and opened that door, look where she is now. She paid on the front end, and now she can get to play on the back end. Now she's Dr. Gwen Alexander. And I every time I see her, I just can't help but think, there's somebody who had a goal they wanted to reach, something they wanted to do. They were a little bit afraid and apprehensive, and it was new ground, a new territory. But what I loved was her willingness to take the leap, take the step, and get into that zone so that she could achieve her dream. And I say that to you today. Pay now, play later means this. Don't waste another day playing. Start paying. Start doing the things you want to do now to get you toward your destiny, no matter how uncomfortable or inconvenient. If you really want it, you'll find a way to get it. And I want to be one of those voices in your life that says, do it. You go after it. And who knows, you may have a story like hers one day, that I started over here with a lot of fear and apprehension, but I did it anyway. And I ended up in a place that I always wanted to be. That's my hope for you today.